Greetings, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to Beyond Second Cognition. I'm Beall. The topic of this discussion is what if or what is. This particular video is going to be helpful for those of you that are using the self-talk processes presented in the Second Cognition Toolbox book. But it is also going to provide information for our viewers to ponder in reference to some of the HPM virus habits that it used to control our consciousness. The greatest mechanisms the virus used against us were always fear-based. And if you stop and look at fear-based programming, one of the deepest programmings that all of us use is what-if programming. When someone raises a situation, we go, what if this, or what if that? Now, those that turn into extreme warriors, they don't ask a single what if. Their what ifs develop what ifs. And they talk themselves out of doing anything. The worry overrides their ability to act because the what ifs talk them out of doing anything. I'm going to ask each of my viewers to look at themselves and see how long and how often they do this what if thing with themselves. And I also want you to notice that 99 times out of 100, the what ifs always take a negative turn. We don't always find people playing the what if game in their own mind that think what if a positive outcome versus what if that's going to create a negative outcome. Now, this is one of those hidden habits as you're doing your cellular deprogramming that you do and you don't even see. And I can say this authoritatively because I used to do it too. Now, the compulsive warriors, they're the ones that put the what ifs on the what ifs on the what ifs. But if you look at yourself and analyze yourself, how often do you propose what ifs that have a negative connotation in your mind? You see, a lot of the time we never find out what is because we're too busy fabricating negative what if fears in our mind. What if becomes a handicapper to our consciousness. It becomes a handicapper to action. So rather than finding out what is, we fabricate all these what ifs, one what if after another, and most of the time the what ifs take a negative downturn, and the what ifs out of fear talk us out of ever discovering what is. How much of your life have you what ifed away? How many times have you been presented with an option to do something, and then the little HPM virus what if machine takes off in your mind, laying rubber on the road and taking you to the races, putting all the what ifs on why you shouldn't do something or why you shouldn't try something? You see, this type of what if is based in fear. It is the virus's way of controlling your consciousness. And it's a habit we all have. Everybody what ifs. And when we use these what ifs as an excuse to not do something, then we are only fabricating potential fears in our mind. We're creating phantoms of fear. We don't know what is. Just the idea of the what ifs keeps us from discovering what is. So the fear mechanism of the virus habit talks us out of doing anything to find out what is. We concoct a litany of fabricated fears in our minds based on all these what ifs. We imagine the worst case scenario, and then that worst case scenario takes on another worst case with the next what if. And we talk ourselves out of doing anything or living life. So we live in fear, the what if fear. And we never find out what is. We never step out on that balcony to look at the view because what if the balcony caves in underneath me? What if I fall to the ground? What if somebody shoves me off the balcony? So I just think I'll stay here in the living room and I'm not going to go out on the balcony because something just might happen. And I'm using that as a rather foolish example perhaps. But if you analyze yourself, how many times have you talked yourself out of doing something based on fabricated fears on what-if programming. What you have to realize, ladies and gentlemen, is that what-if is going to keep you from moving forward. What if I make a mistake? What if they don't like me? What if, what if, what if? So as some of you are working with the Cell Talk, issue instructions to get rid of all of the programs within you that generate this fear monster called what if. And I'll be honest, there is a conjectural qualifying what if, which is a safe bet, and it doesn't concoct fears. It's more of, what if we try this? Okay, it's more positive. It's not this negative downturn talking yourself out of something using what ifs to concoct fear. And what happens with these negative what ifs is that you're creating phantoms in your own mind. And then once these phantoms are created, you run away from the phantoms. And you let the phantoms of what if, which don't exist, which are only might be's, and usually very long shot might be's, talk you out of living life, talk you out of ever finding out what is. To work in the second cognition, you cannot be ruled by what if fears. What if I can't handle this? What if I make a mistake? What if I do something wrong? What if, what if, what if? I wanted to put this video out here because people need to be aware of this habit, because it's one that we all use, one that we all fall prey to. And as we're doing our cellular cleaning, our house cleaning, it's one of those habits we wouldn't see or even remotely think about. So I'm bringing it to your attention so you can do the house cleaning and get rid of it, because it's counterproductive to living your very life. Do you want to live your life in the shadow of what ifs? Or do you want to discover what is and not let those phantom fears concocted by the what if monster restrict you from living your life? I ask you all to think about this because it's very important. And for those of you doing the work, stay the course and don't give up on yourselves.